G'day guys and gal, it's no secret that I get all oiled up and silly whenever I talk about Custodians. They are gold, girthy and great, the triple G combo, and I literally have a small army of them right there. But one thing they really lack is named character models, especially ones that look different to normal Custodians. Trajan Valorous is cool and I have no complaints, but Valerian is boring and looks a bit derpy, and while Valdor looks cool, he's a Horus Heresy era exclusive model. Those three are literally it. Despite the fact that there are so many dope Horus Heresy and 40k era Custodians, on top of the fact that the lore states that Custodians often modify and bedeck their own armor to suit their own personalities. So it'd be super easy to have some awesome looking, unique to name Custodians. So if GW needs any ideas for who they should make a tabletop model of next to the Golden Banana Boys, I'll give them 10, as well as why they should make a model out of them in the first place. Before we get started, it's a glorious day to announce a brand new major mini that has just arrived, the Golden Dreamer, a super awesome, super versatile model to help fill in the holes in our hearts. This model features two head variants, one being a hawkish eagle-like appearance, with the other one being the lion helmet, which is my favorite as that looks insane. But wait, there's more. This model also features two loadout variants that can be mixed and matched. His front hand is either a claw or an awesome shield, whilst his backhand can either be a spear pointing forward or held to his side. That is a lot of different ways you can make this guy look. This range expands our Golden Warrior range, which also includes Ra, the Golden Sun, Kitten, and the Shadow Warden. But if those still don't float your boat, we've got models from the Chaotic Legions like the Lord of Destruction or the Lord of the Night. How about some Space Elves featuring the Avenger Lord or the Hawk Lord, amongst many more? Why not suss the Xeno Forces while you're there? Can't go wrong with Cetron the Undying, the Orc Demon Killer, or one of our many Xenodid models. Shipping is only $10 USD worldwide or completely free when you order over $75 worth. Who else offers that? Every time I buy shit from America or Europe, the shipping is like $50. We aren't even that hard to ship to, guys. Stop licking us Aussies. Link to all models is below, but yeah, Golden Dreamer, man. Today we'll go over 10 of the most awesome Custodian characters from both the Horus Heresy and the current setting that deserve a tabletop model. Let's get into it. I'm going to grab the low-hanging fruit first and talk about Endymion, the last tribune and hero of the webway. I have gushed like a moist granny a few times on this channel over Ra, and it's warranted. He's the epitome of a Custodian, controlled yet passionate, a highly intelligent warrior but also a philosopher and free thinker. Ra would deliberately kill all enemies in 3 strokes, no more no less. He could do it in 1 or 2, but he uses the 3 strikes to completely analyze the enemy's fighting style and techniques, absorbing it and learning from it. With his kill count going into the thousands, he's basically absorbed hundreds of techniques and lessons, becoming deadlier and deadlier. The dude even formulated a plan to try kill Dracnian, which almost worked, despite the literal fundamentals of the universe stating that Dracnian could not be killed. Ra was like, fuck the universe, and tried anyway. Even when the Emperor turned Dracnian into a sword and stabbed it into Ra to make him its jailer, Ra didn't ask why or feel betrayed. He trusted his lord and he understood the necessity for this final task. My theory behind why the Emperor imprisoned Dracnian in Ra and then Ra let Abaddon take Dracnian as a sword is that as Abaddon's sword, Dracnian was trapped and his potential not even close to being realized. As a free demon, he was a monster, unstoppable and nigh unbeatable. As a sword, sure, he can fuck you up and Abaddon is only really alive today because of Dracnian, but he is trapped and bound. If another Chaos Lord had claimed Dracnian, they may have tried to free the demon, which would have been quite shit. We don't know Ra's final fate. Perhaps we will learn it in the final Black Legion book. Either way, dude is a beast and was quite famous for his use of dual swords, so it would make an incredibly cool, unique model. Another awesome Horus Heresy era Custodian is Diocletian, one of the most unintentionally hilarious characters in the setting. While Ra held the webway, Diocletian gathered a final wave of reinforcements to back him up, including a night house. He got this night house from a dungeon in which they were placed as their loyalty was initially uncertain. The comical part of this is that a few days before Diocletian came to retrieve them, their servitors stopped feeding them. They thought it was this final test to break their spirit, so they shored up their will and yelled that they would not be broken. Diocletian was like, nobody's trying to break you. The servitor just had a small malfunction and stopped bringing the food. Now please step away from the door. He also traumatized a small child by telling him about his own parents, his dad being a faithless warlord and his mother a whore. Diocletian was one of the few Custodians who could actually dream, and would write his dreams down, eventually penning the book, The Master of Mankind. Bit on the nose there. The book was very popular with the Custodian Guard. Diocletian fought his ass off during the Siege of Terror, surviving the webway, surviving the siege, surviving the assault on the Vengeful Spirit, to to end up being one of the few surviving Custodians who found the Emperor's broken body and helped him return to Terra. With such rich lore and personality, alongside the fact that this guy was basically the founder of the Emissaries Imperatus shield host, he is definitely worthy of his own model. The Shadowkeepers are hands down the coolest Custodian shield host. There is just no way around it. If you're a mid-tier or even shit-tier painter and you want to paint Custodes, I recommend the Shadowkeepers as they are easy as fuck to paint and make look awesome with minimal skill. Their master is the Lock Warden, a Custodian who would be the equal to Trajan Valorous, since his task is not only to safeguard all the hectic shit within the dark cells, but also retrieve anything that escapes. The current Lock Warden is Borsa Thirsk, known as a really intense no-nonsense guy. He has barely stepped foot on Terra since the opening of the Great Rift, as he continues a hunt for the escapees from the dark cells, some of which are these Lovecraftian nightmares. Dude even uses weapons from the dark cells to kill the shit that escaped the dark cells, so in terms of a unique custom model, there is a lot GW can do here. This is also a non-Horus heresy character, so applicable in 40k armies. The next Custodian that deserves a tabletop model is Prefect Leontios Nicol Theodoso Galba, fuck me, one of the high-ranking Custodians of the Solar Watch shield host. The Solar Watch are another dope-ass paint scheme for the Custodes, however as they are white, they're a bit more of a challenge to paint. Leontios has an insane career. As a member of the Solar Watch, their gate to defend was not just Terra but the Sol System, with them going to each of the Solar System's worlds when bitches need to get clapped. Leontios killed over 800 infiltrators in one purge campaign over a decade, and upon his 2 centuries of service, became one of the few Custodians to ever win a blood game. He would also go on to massacre the Wordbearers, brutalize the Elder, and even stomp on some Necrons, each time achieving a decisive hard-fought victory. Having these shield host specific characters would really help distinguish the different Custodian schemes and make choosing one over the other more meaningful. Continuing the trend of giving each of the major shield hosts their own specific model, we now need to look at the Dread host. These are the most vicious, ruthless Custodians, crushing the enemies of the Emperor with overwhelming devastating force away from the Sol System. I'm not sure who the current leader is, however they could make a model for Constans Pulchrae Heracoloni. Fuck, dude. A Dread host hero who has slaughtered the World Eater forces near the Eye of Terror, crushed the Black Legion on Dakhorth, humiliated and banished the demons on Kileth's 4, and butchered the Orcs on Lenthis. The list of victory goes on. Something interesting about the Dread host is that as they pursue the enemies of mankind away from the Sol System, they were not present on Terra during the battle for the Lion's Gate, a mark of shame for Constans, who vows to reap a bloody toll and vengeance against Chaos, who dared step on the throne world. Creating a Custodian model with a lot of emphasis on brutal combat and terror tactics could be a really sweet way to interpret Constans. Diving back into the Horus heresy now, we have Amon Taramakian, one of the legendary hero Custodes alongside Ra, Valdor, and Diocletian. Amon was the ultimate agent and was so impressive that Magnus the Red himself was like, damn dude, you fire. Amon would go on to almost win a blood game, coming within striking distance of the Emperor, as well as save the lives of various important people during the heresy, such as Euphrates Keeler. While Valdor, Diocletian, and Ra were charging headfirst into the gates of hell, quite literally, Amon was working in the background, exploring contingency plans, protecting VIPs, and whatnot. It was Amon who nearly released the transhuman virus, a pathogen that would wipe out all Space Marines and potentially even the Primarchs, but he was halted at the last second. Amon would go on to survive the Horus heresy, easily the smartest and most operative Custodian there was, with a model that could represent that, perhaps less bulk and gold, and more tactical scale plate and technology. This next character that deserves a model goes a bit against the grain, and that's why he's awesome. Sagittarius Malek. Sagittarius was actually the first Custodian to ever fall in battle, and was given the honor of becoming the first ever Custodian dreadnought. He was known for his large brash personality and warlust, which is probably why he was also the first ever to fall. As a Custodian dreadnought, Sagittarius was a beast. He fought non-stop during the war in the Webway side by side with Ra, even throwing hands with Dyrachnion itself. He would manage to survive that encounter, with his ultimate fate not yet clear, but having a custom heavily ornate named character dreadnought would be awesome, especially since we already have a Bjorn model, so the precedent is there. Swapping back over to 40k again now, looking at a Custodian from the Aquillon shield host. These are those memey Custodians who randomly pick an Imperial citizen to guard with their lives, allowing that citizen to perform some Emperor-given task free of any risk of death. The Custodian Graytion Artabane would be a great model candidate from these boys. Graytion was the youngest ever Custodian to serve in the Heraton Guard, those Custodes who directly protected the Emperor's mortal body, managing to withstand the Psychic Cumblast for 63 years before needing to be rotated out. He decided that if he couldn't directly protect the Emperor anymore, he would protect his chosen ones, thus join the Aquillon Shield. His first task was to guard the then young Helbrecht, who would later become the High Marshal of the Black Templars and one of the greatest heroes in the entire Imperium. He would also go on to protect a doctor who had managed to cure 7 plagues released by the Death Guard, as well as a High Lord who ended a vicious uprising polarizing with minimal bloodshed. Gratian is an exemplar of the Aquillon shield and would make an awesome model. Maybe a combo of shield and spear, which isn't something we see much of, but would make a lot of sense. I mentioned them before, but if all the other major shield hosts are getting their own model, then the Emissaries Imperator should as well. This shield host is made up of a small group of Custodians, who are able to dream and receive messages from the Emperor via these dreams. They then convene together to interpret the message and pass on the Emperor's will. When the Custodians say that they speak with the Emperor's voice, it's not just their rank, but they are actually able to speak to their daddy, albeit in a pretty janky ass way. So to honor them, it would be cool to make a model for Marcus Aquillon. I know, he did recently die, but I do like the idea that just because someone dies doesn't mean they can't have a model. Marcus was one of the protagonists of a full-length Custodian novel, stopping a Chaos super weapon from going off and giving his life to allow his companions to slay the bad guy. With their robes and position as the Emperor's voice, Marcus could have a super ornate, dope as hell armor to distinguish his model. And finally, don't shit the bed, but if GW wants to say that female Custodians are now canon, then they should release a female Custodian model. Before you attack me and rage, I'm not a fan of the lore change and I never said I was. I just said I was able to cop it and move on in a video where all I did was just state the facts regarding the new lore, including how it also contradicted established lore. The introduction of female Custodians was jank as fuck. They should have released an insane model as well as a cinematic that would show a Custodian fighting a demon, getting its helmet knocked off to reveal a woman before she then slays the demon. Then the lore should change to say that after a massive amount of Custodian deaths during the Battle of the Lion's Gate, they have begun allowing exceptional females to be candidates. That would have shown care for the lore, care for the fan base, because it would have actually taken effort and it wouldn't have just been a retcon via a Twitter post. Regardless if you like or hate female Custodians, you can't disagree with me there. What I just said would have been a way better way to introduce them. But yeah, GW, if you're gonna do it, fucking commit and give us a dope-ass female Custodian model. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Golden Dreamer, now available on the Major Mini website, link is below. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for more golden content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.